If you guys want to watch someone raid on Friday, a link to my Twitch is in the description below. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's G Miners here, and with it being the second day of the season, the Lost Sector is now rewarding helmets. I had some exotic engrams saved up, but if you don't, the Lost Sector is Bunker E15 on Europa. Warlocks got a brand new exotic helmet this season related to Arc 3.0, which is the Fallen Sunstar. It might be just one of the ugliest exotics I have ever seen, but it's also kind of growing on me. With this exotic, we are going to get enhanced Ionic Traces, which move faster and, more importantly, give us more ability energy. And then we will also cover this part later, but nearby allies also are going to get energy when we collect Ionic Traces too. Just getting straight into things, looking at the base Ionic Traces that we generate without the helmet, in Season 17, each trace would give us 15% grenade energy, 20% melee, 25% class ability, and an additional 2% super energy per trace. And after testing this season, it seems to me like we are getting the exact same percentages. Definitely a nice passive boost in ability energy, but nothing crazy. Testing a second time with Falling Sunstar equipped, it honestly looks like we're just getting double the effect. We are getting our nade back in around 3 Ionic Traces, our melee in a little under that if you were to round it, and our class ability is almost always up because we are getting that back in like 2 Ionic Traces. Now, I mentioned that teammates also benefit from us grabbing Ionic Traces as well. This is going to work on any subclass, so if we were, say, playing with a Void Hunter, not in Arc Warlock, or not even on Arc, they're still going to get the same ability energy. However, this will still be the original values, not the enhanced ones. It's still a great boost in ability energy for your team, just not as insane as if you were to run this yourself. I wanted to showcase how good Fallen Sunstar is in this video, and then also give you guys a build that you can use this with so that you have something to take away. So let's start off by looking at what we are running in our subclass. The first major thing that I'm going to recommend is that you have the Ball Lightning melee ability on. The goal is going to be to spam abilities with this build so that we can continually make Ionic Traces, and needing to be close to use a melee ability is really going to slow that down. I'm also a huge fan of Storm Grenades, but whatever you find works best for ad clear is what you should run. And then after this, you are absolutely going to need the Aspect Electrostatic Mind. Kills with arc abilities or kills against blinded and jolted enemies are going to create Ionic Traces, and these Ionic Traces, on top of giving us energy back, will also make us amplified. And then also with this build, I am using Arc Souls. These have been around for a while, so no need to go in depth with what they do, but the reason I am using these is because our Arc Soul also counts as an ability final blow. So this allows our grenade, melee, and now Rift to also make Ionic Traces. Lightning Surge is another really strong aspect here. I really wanted to incorporate it into the build, but for some reason this doesn't count as an ability in the game, or something else weird is going on. Bungie doesn't really do a good job at making these override abilities mesh well in the sandbox. This also doesn't work with a bunch of mods and exotics as well. Otherwise, this would make the build great. The aspect we have on give us 4 total fragment slots. First up, we have Spark of Beacons. This will allow our arc special weapons to blind enemies nearby others that we kill, and then this will also come in clutch with our second aspect, which is Spark of Discharge. With this, our arc weapon final blows can also create Ionic Traces, so we're going to be spamming Forbearance in this build with our abilities to get even more energy back. After this is Spark of Recharge, which is another added bonus of energy back when we are critically wounded. And then last up, we have Spark of Resistance for an extra 25% damage reduction whenever we are nearby enemies. This really just helps with survivability of the build. It might prevent Discharge from proccing as often, but I think it's definitely worth it. If you were to compare this build with the Crown of Tempest one that I put out recently, as in a few hours ago, they are obviously going to be very similar. I think the benefit of Fallen Sunstar is that we get better ability spam because we get energy straight back rather than waiting for it to regen, but our Stormtrance Super is going to be significantly worse. So for that reason, I like running this build whenever I need boss damage and I just throw on Chaos Reach, and then Crown of Tempests if I just need pure ad clear. Very similar builds, but they each have their own spot to shine. Real quick, before we get onto the mods of the build, if you guys do find this video useful, make sure to drop a like and sub down below. Something helps me out a ton, it's completely free, and you can always unsub later. Up first is going to be Explosive Wellmaker, which is going to generate solar elemental wells on explosive kills. For Barents and our Lightning Nade will both actually count as explosive damage, so we'll be able to spawn these pretty frequently. And then we're also going to be using Elemental Charge. This will allow us to stay charged with light, which will directly benefit us using the final mod we have, which is Firepower. I have 2 copies of these on to further the effects. When throwing our grenade, we're going to get energy straight back as long as we're charged with light. This will just increase the uptime on our grenade, making sure it's always back after 2 to 3 Ionic Traces. And then I also have mods like Bomber on my class item and Impact Induction on my arms to give even more grenade energy back because we're just spamming abilities. This build plays really nicely even in some more difficult content and is definitely going to be a build I use a lot this season. Ionic Traces are super fun, and we are also getting more fragments later, which will make them even more frequent to spawn. I really like the fact that this also seconds as a support build because there aren't too many ad clear builds that also do that. Tether with Team Invis is one, and Phoenix Cradle is definitely another, but the increased ability regen will also allow this to synergize well with other Warlocks running the same build, or just any other class that also focuses on ability regen. I have a bunch of other builds for each class currently in the works. Let me know which exotics you are looking forward to see in builds the most, and also while you're at it, make sure to check me out on Twitch and join the Discord too. Anyways, that's all for this video, guys. Hope this build helps you out. As always, have a good one. Peace.